Finances have always been a very important topic in our household and is something that I am passionate about. Life is not all about money, however, having it organized and understanding your budget, expenses, and savings makes a world of a difference. Today, I'm discussing the importance of setting up an emergency fund. An emergency fund is for unexpected and unavoidable expenses that you wouldn't typically include in your monthly budget. Sometimes you anticipate them coming, but most times you don't. And you also don't usually know what budget category they might apply to, whether it be medical, vehicle, house-related, or the loss of a job. The purpose of an emergency fund is to keep you out of debt and to avoid poor financial decisions. This seems like a fitting topic because we recently had to dip into our own emergency fund to help pay for a new roof. Much to my chagrin, there was no way around it. A few too many storms had blown shingles off. Our homeowner's insurance wasn't willing to pay for a new roof, and if we waited any longer, we risked springing a leak, which would be a much bigger financial burden. I was hoping our next big house expense that we could work towards saving for would be a front porch, but alas, it was a boring roof. Regardless of the situation, we did need to take a little from our emergency fund and are working towards replenishing it and then some. I put together this worksheet to help lay out the framework as to how much you should try to set aside for an emergency fund. Setting up an emergency fund can be a hefty goal and will take hard work and discipline to get there, but you'll sleep so much better once you have it, or even if you are partially there. First and foremost, you need to determine how many consistent sources of reliable income you have coming in every month. That is money that you know you will get. This is much easier to determine if you are salaried. However, if your income fluctuates each month, just put your average. The amount of the income doesn't matter as much, however, it will be very difficult to save for your emergency fund if your expenses consistently exceed your income. If that's the case, scan over your monthly expenses and see where you can cut back. For this example, we'll put that there are two sources of income. We're going to have salary 1 and salary 2. Next, you need to determine what your monthly expenses are, including both residual and flexible. If it varies each month, which your gas and groceries will, make an educated guess. I have another worksheet here that lists almost every category for your monthly expenses, if you really want to drill down on what you spend each month. Once you have a number, write it over here in this box. You can subcategorize like I did. It just gives you a better idea as to where you're spending your money and where your money's going. The most common rule of thumb is to have 3 months of expenses saved up if you have 2 or more sources of income, and to have 6 months of expenses saved up if you have 1 source of income. Take either 3 or 6, whichever applies to you. Maybe you're in between, it's different for everyone, and multiply it by your monthly expenses. That is your goal number. It may seem big, which is why you should work towards it slowly and celebrate every accomplishment when you hit 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, etc. If you are burdened with a lot of high interest debt, it may take a little longer to reach your emergency fund goal, which is fine. Once you reach that goal number, try not to dip below it. If you do have an emergency and have to dip into those funds, try to replenish it as soon as you are able to. Some may prefer to keep it in a completely separate bank account where there's no temptation to transfer it to your other accounts, and some may prefer to keep it in their savings with the rest of their money and just make sure it doesn't dip below that magical number. I'm a very visual person and a huge kinesthetic learner, so I made a little emergency fund drawing that you can print off and fill in with your own goal number and in increments of 5%. So again, I put 13,500 as my goal number. When you divide 13,500 by 20, that gives you $675. There is nothing more satisfying than filling in one of these boxes every time you meet that next 5% goal. I wish you the best of luck with reaching your financial goals. Again, don't forget to celebrate reaching 1,000 and 2,000 because those are huge milestones when you are starting. You'll be at your 3 to 6 month number before you know it.